Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. If you can please welcome, welcome. You can tell us where you're tuning in from. If you can please tell us what city you're tuning in from today. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Someone is tuning in from the United Arab Emirates. Welcome. Someone from Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Welcome. Can everybody tell us where they're tuning in from? Anyone else? Sweden and Beijing, Lagos, Nigeria. Awesome. Lots of different places. London. Okay. So I'm going to say hello to you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day to you, wherever you're tuning in from. My name is Bestakov Ray, Canadian Immigration Specialist at Tofino Immigration Consulting. At Tofino, we help make Canada your new home. We also understand that getting a visa to Canada is not all that you need to succeed in this country. You need more than that. So when you get here, there are other things that are required to help you thrive in this country, which is why we came up with the Canada Immigration Cafe series to help you know better. Because when you know better, you can do better after you arrive. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite provinces in Canada, beautiful British Columbia. It's the province that I lived in originally when I first immigrated to Canada 13 years ago. So today we have a special guest. Our BC buddy, Chima, is going to come talk to us today. All we need to know about the province of beautiful British Columbia. So invite a friend, invite a neighbor, and I hope you have a good time. Just tell us where you're tuning in from, and it will be good to know where everybody's tuning in from today.
Hi.
Hello, hello. How are you doing? Good morning.
Good. Good morning. How you doing?
Pretty good. Well, it's afternoon for me, but you're in Vancouver probably, or the Lower Mainland,
Yeah.
so it's still morning for you. And
Yeah, it's 11 a.m.
yes, we have people tuning in from London, from Dubai, from Sweden, from Beijing as well. So I think everyone is on a different time zone today. So I usually just say good day to you, good morning, good
Oh,
afternoon, and
okay.
good evening.
Oh, good day, everybody.
Yes, yes, yes. It's good. It's good. Welcome. What's the weather like today for you guys?
Oh, it's raining. We've
Yeah,
had the forecast for the rest of this week, and next week is going to be raining a lot. So
yeah,
goodbye to our brief sunshine, but
yeah.
it's still not bad. At least we're still in the double digits, positive double digits. So it's not like it's a negative, the minuses and all that. So it's still positive, but it's just that it's going to be a wet week.
Right, right. That's good. Well, welcome to the Canada Immigration Cafe episode 8. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite provinces. It's British Columbia, actually, because it's the first place that I lived in when I first immigrated to Canada. So it will be good to to,
Interesting.
to hear it from to hear about the province from a different perspective, of course. So that's why it's good to have you here today. How long? First of all, if you can just tell us what your name is, so people can know you a little bit, it would be great. I think it's a good place to start.
Okay, so my name is Chima, and I run settled in British Columbia, like he earlier mentioned.
Great,
So that's it.
awesome, awesome. How long have you lived in BC for now?
Okay, so I first came to BC in July, and we did a 1 month, let's call it soft landing. So it was actually more of a summer vacation for us, just to come and survey BC, because when we decided to move to BC, we wanted to know what the cities look like before we decide where to settle. So we came here for a month to explore the cities in the Lower Mainland. We already knew we wanted to be in the Lower Mainland.
Okay,
So we booked Airbnb in two different places and visited lots of cities before we chose where we currently reside. So we left and came back December 2019 finally.
Okay,
So here
so
we are.
so you did an exploration trip first, I guess, and
Yes,
then you finally
yes,
moved to the Lower Mainland in 2019. What is
yes,
so the Lower Mainland then? For people who don't know, it's the Greater Vancouver area, right? So it's
yes,
Vancouver and different the cities surrounding Vancouver as
yes.
well. That would be the Lower Mainland area, in case people were wondering. Okay, so you've been there now technically for a little
A
going
year plus.
a year plus, going 2 years.
Yeah.
This year will make it 2 years for you. And what do you love about? Because obviously you did an exploratory trip, right? And then you decided to stay. Okay, well, I'm going to stay here. What's there to love about the province?
Oh, the first thing is the weather. Before I even came, I did my research because I don't like cold. As you can see, I'm on a sleeveless wear. I don't like to be bothered with lots of jackets and all that. So when I did my research online, I said, "Oh, that's the warmest province in Canada." I was like, "Cool, we're going there." So the weather is lovely. That was one of the main attractions to come here. And when we came, it was summer, so it was beautiful weather. It was really warm.
Right.
And then it was summer, so everywhere there were lots of activities. You know how summer can be in Canada. So
Yeah.
it was quite fun. There were lots of things to do, places to visit. So the whole vibe was quite attractive. We said, okay,
Right.
that's a good choice because there are lots of outdoor activities. You could go hiking, there are lots of trails. In fact, there's a book on I don't know how many trails there are in
Yes.
BC.
Yes.
There are lots of the mountains.
Yeah.
So the main thing about it is the mountains. So a lot of people come here to do lots of hiking, camping, lots of campsites. So it was quite fun. Said, okay, it's a
Yeah.
good choice
Yeah.
because the weather is awesome. And then there are lots of outdoor activities too. So lots of parks. The kids had fun. So
Awesome.
that was what we loved about BC, and that's why we stayed.
That's pretty good. Your network, it's a bit, it acts up a bit for a few seconds. I'm not sure if it's the Wi-Fi or if you're using data or not, but might be something to look
Oh,
into.
I'm on Wi-Fi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, it's pretty good now.
Okay.
It skipped for a bit. So your experience so far, it's been positive for this year and a bit that you've lived there.
Yes, it's been positive so far. I guess my greatest let me say the achievement here will be the people. I really met good people. So British Columbians are warm, polite, and very receptive, and they are really interested in knowing you as a person.
Right.
So the neighborhood where I live are mostly white. So when you see black people, they really want to come close to you and learn more about you. Where are you from? When did you
Right.
move? And
Right.
what's it like in Nigeria? And they even Google Nigeria, Google your foods, and ask you questions about it. So that was very, very warm for me. So it was really a positive experience. The people especially made me love where I live.
Yeah.
So I don't have any regrets at all. So if I have the weather, I've got beautiful scenery, and I've got great and warm people. What more can I ask for from
Exactly.
Canada? So
Yeah.
that's why I love here.
Exactly. So I know you speak a bit of French, and there is other parts of Canada that are French speaking, like Quebec and New Brunswick, and you decided to go explore British Columbia first. Why is that?
Okay, yeah, I love French. You're correct. And I'm sure many people don't even know. I really did advanced French before I forgot all of them. I wrote DELF B1
Okay.
and I passed, back in 2011. So I was really into French until I dropped it and continued. But the thing is, I considered other things, especially my family. My husband cannot pronounce bonjour. So it wouldn't be fair to him to
Yeah.
take him to a French-speaking province. I remember saying it in one of my live sessions that if I were single, I would have settled in Quebec because I wanted to immerse myself in French. I want to be fluent. So, but unfortunately, I had to consider other people and especially my husband because I know he's going to go to work. So for most jobs in Quebec, if you are not bilingual, it might be difficult to get the kind of position you want.
Right.
So I had to put that into consideration, knowing I wasn't going into paid employment immediately because he's the one that's going to be in paid employment. So it was important that he be in a place that he can get a job as soon as possible. So that's why I had to sacrifice my French and come to BC. But Who knows, when
Yeah.
COVID is over, I intend to go to. I always tell him that's the number one province I intend to visit when we start traveling again.
Right.
So
So
that's
if your
it.
family was interested in relocating to Quebec and your husband was willing to learn French and all of that, would you consider relocating?
Yes, yes, of course I will. I will definitely, but he's not.
Okay.
He's not interested
Right.
in it.
Okay. It's always a family big moves, or they're like family decisions, right? So you have to consider
Yeah,
everybody involved,
sure.
including the kids and your school and your friends and everybody else. So it's super interesting. So let's uh let's get into the more of the details about BC. Lots of people, of course, when they ask about provinces and stuff, the first question that comes to their mind is, how much does it cost to live there? Can I find a job there? Right. So let's get into the cost of living part of the province of British Columbia. Now, before this meeting, I did a bit of a search, the top 10 most expensive cities to live in Canada. Do you want to make a guess what city came up top?
Vancouver. It's Vancouver that's Toronto. These two cities will be at the top place.
Okay, so that's the province of British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia. So you're the one who's on ground. You're the one who truly lives there. What's the cost of living? It's an expensive place to live.
So expensive, like I always tell people, is relative. It's relevant to how much money you have, really. Because if you have money, you wouldn't see anything as expensive. It means you can afford it. But on the general, let's say an average middle class family living in Vancouver is expensive because of rent and real estate. So if you're looking to buy, you're looking to rent, it's going to be pretty expensive. So the what most people do is to live in surrounding cities. So the closer you are to Vancouver, the higher your rent will be. So that's just the way it is because most almost a good number of your jobs will be in Vancouver. So that's why it's very, very expensive to rent. So I would say the most expensive thing about British Columbia is the rent when
Okay.
compared with other provinces, because I've also done live sessions with people that live in all the other provinces, and the central thing that came out is in comparison with maybe apart from Ontario is almost like BC. The rent is expensive. That I will admit is expensive because I'll see people in places like Nova Scotia would tell me like maybe a 3 bed you could get for a two 1,000 to 1,005. I think you can get it here.
Not possible.
So you cannot get it here. Even if it's a basement, you will not, unless you really go into the interior cities. You're not close to Vancouver at all. So BC is expensive in terms of real estate. Same thing when you're buying. You can go, it's crazy. I once posted a video of a neighborhood not too far away from me where a house goes for 10 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's when compared to the same, I saw similar house in Halifax going for less than 400K. And I'm like, wow. So you see the difference. So I know someone that he wanted to buy and he says, I can't afford to buy a house in BC. So I want to relocate to maybe Ontario and it's where I can afford the real estate.
Right.
So in terms of rent, BC is expensive.
Okay.
But cost of every other thing is basically the same thing everywhere. So I mean, you go grocery shopping, bread is not more expensive in BC than in Alberta.
Right.
It's basically the same thing for grocery shopping, moving around, and every other thing will be the same. The only
So
difference
if
will be in the
we're to look at say downtown Vancouver, how much are we looking at on average for a one-bedroom apartment?
okay. Now it depends whether it's an apartment, a basement, or whatever. So a one bed, depending on area, where you are, I will give you an average of 1,000, 1,100, 1,200. You can That's what you can get.
Okay.
So it could be
Yeah.
higher depending on the neighborhood. So if you're doing like I live in a 3 bed, my house is like $2,500
Okay.
for a 3 bedroom. So is you can also get less. You can get 3 bedroom basements from 1,008, 1,900,
Yeah.
or even lesser. Like I mentioned, there are cities in the lower mainland that are cheaper. So if you're looking for a cheaper rent, go to some areas in Surrey and some areas in Abbotsford, Maple Ridge. But if you're looking at the big cities like Vancouver, Burnaby, Delta, Richmond, White Rock.
New Westminster.
Those places to be more exactly because they're closer to Vancouver, they are going to be more expensive. But the farther away you are, the cheaper it is. You can actually get, I've seen a 3-bed for about 1,006 somewhere in Abbotsford, which is affordable if you ask me. So it all depends on the seating. But this is just the general idea of what you can expect in terms of prices.
Yeah, I think it depends on the. If you're living downtown Vancouver, I know people that pay up to 1,900 in rent for even a 1-bedroom apartment. So
exactly.
It really just depends. It depends on the neighborhood. Like if you're living in like West Georgia streets or Robson Street, Vancouver downtown, obviously you're gonna be paying more money than if you're living in Abbotsford, which is in a different city, right? Probably about 100 kilometers away, I think. It's what Abbotsford would be. So it depends. Like if you're living in Nigeria, for example, living in the main area in Abuja would not be the same cost as living in the outskirts of Abuja, right? So it's the same city, but it really just depends on the location. In real estate, there's only one word they say 3 times, which is location, 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 right? And that's what you pay for. So when you've compared the prices for Vancouver or British Columbia area where you live, the area where you live, and you see the difference between how much you're paying and what your friends are paying in, I don't know, Halifax, Montreal. Do you think it's worth it to pay that much more for nice weather?
It depends on what you want. Priorities too. Really. I always tell people when they ask, where should I settle? Is BC expensive? Is this, is that? I always tell them priorities. What's important to you? What's important to your family? So it's not just about money. And when you're immigrating to Canada, it's not about, some people didn't come to make money. Some people had money in Nigeria before they came here. What are you looking for? So if I'm looking for just that high standard of living, a system that works, and I just want to be comfortable, I can afford anything I want, I don't want to be too rich, then it doesn't really make much difference for me. And then the thing is also your mindset. So if I'm paying $2,000 for my house, maybe I'm earning 8,000 in a month. Sure. I mean, it won't make much difference for me. Yeah. I might not be able to get a job that will pay me that 8,000 in Halifax, probably because the province is not expensive. So it's more of my time, because BC is expensive and it makes it up in salary and wages. Right. So if I limit myself because those places are cheaper in terms of rent, the job I'm also going to get is going to be much lower than what I have here. So that's why I really have no regrets at all.
Awesome. That's correct. How about finding a place to actually stay? What is the market in terms of competition for looking for a place to rent in the Lower Mainland area of British Columbia?
When we first came, when we were looking for where to rent, I could see lots of there were lots of postings, adverts for rent, and it wasn't that difficult to find. What was difficult was them accepting us as new immigrants. I mean, they're like, there are houses to rent, and you go see houses, and by the time they ask you, where's your pay stub? And you say, I'm new, I've not started working, I don't have a job. And everybody thinks of, I don't want to rent to you, More like, I need to be sure you can afford to pay the rent. So in terms of getting a place to stay, it's not actually a problem. But right now, because you know what's going on in the housing market, everybody's buying houses like crazy, and it's really going higher and higher, the cost of some of these houses, because I think the interest has gone so low that everybody wants to buy a house, so it's quite expensive now. So there's sort of a competition for where to finding a place to rent. So I would say right now it might be a bit tough, because I'm on some Facebook groups where people are complaining that they can't find anywhere to rent, because once it's up in the market, before you know it is gone, because a lot of people are moving around, people are selling their homes and buying new ones and moving up and down. So for now with COVID, it might be challenging to get a place, depending on the city too, because some cities have more adverts than some. So it depends on your city. So if you're in a place like Surrey, I always see thousands of adverts for houses in Surrey. Okay. For where I am, I searched for a house recently, and I haven't seen what I want compared to when I first came in 2019. So it looks like it's going to be a bit tough for me to get another place to move into if I want to move. So that's just what I've noticed recently.
Did you have to make like a security deposit for the place that you're renting right now? Like the money you put
Yes,
down before they
I think
rent
that's
it?
a standard. Yeah, because you pay half month rent is your security deposit, then you pay first month rent and last month rent, and then plus the half month as security deposit. So we eventually found
Okay.
someone that could take us, but we had to bring a Canadian as a reference. So one of our Canadian friends had to sign as our references. So
Yeah.
that was how
Yeah.
we got into place.
Yeah, you know, each province is different. Like the setup that you had, for example, for paying the first month's rent, the last month's rent, and the security deposit. In Montreal, you can't really take the security deposit, and so no one's going
Wow.
to require you to pay any last month's rent. You sign the lease, but you're locked in for that lease for the period of time, which is usually 12 months, and
Mhm.
then before the 12 months expires, you have to indicate if you want to continue living there or not. Because if you're not, then they're going to start trying to rent it to somebody else. But they're not allowed to take security deposits from you. So it really
Wow.
depends
That's
on where you're
interesting.
trying.
Oh, really? And here we didn't have to indicate if we wanted to continue. At the expiration of our lease, we just continue month on month. Nobody, you don't need to tell them, I
Yeah,
still want to live here. No, it's just as they assume that you will continue to live there. So,
yeah, exactly. So every province is different. So uh, we want to be careful when we move from place to place because it might be like we're moving into a
yeah.
new country. But that's good. So now let's talk about work, jobs, because if we're going to be, and before I even get there, just so everybody knows, we pay rent here monthly, not yearly, like in some countries, right? Because the $2,000 we're talking about, if someone was going to pay that yearly, that would be like $24,000, which is, I don't know, 7 million naira a year or something like that. It would be a lot. So people want to be aware of that as well. So, but if somebody is going to be spending that much on rent, what are the jobs like? Is it easy to get a job in British Columbia, in your opinion?
As a new immigrant, and I think just like every other province, I don't think it's going to be easy to just come in and get a job at the same level as you were in Nigeria. I think most people have found that very challenging because of the hidden Canadian experience requirement. They won't come out to tell you it's because you don't have Canadian experience, but that it's because you don't have Canadian experience.
Okay.
So that's where it's going to be pretty tough. And but it doesn't mean that it's impossible because I've also seen people that have gone back to their profession maybe after a couple of months, maybe after a year. So it's the thing is to have an open mind because when we came, we had an open mind. We knew that it wasn't going to be a walk in the park. So we're prepared. Plan A, plan B. If plan A doesn't work,
Yeah.
you have to start from plan B and probably work your way up or get some more certifications or diploma or whatever it is that will make you more competitive in the Canadian market space.
Yeah.
So that was what we did. For my husband, let's talk about my husband because I'm not in paid employment because when I came, I was my second trimester. Nobody was going to hire somebody that heavy.
Okay.
So, and my baby is going to be 1 next week. So I've
Good.
been
Congratulations.
home with them, thank you, and with two other active toddlers. So it's crazy. So that's why I'm not talking about myself. I use my husband
Yeah.
as an example. So
So what do you
I
say
think
to
that, sorry?
So what do you say to those people that were like directors in their home countries? I was a manager of this, a manager of that. I used to be a doctor, a nurse, and they just arrive here and it's a shock to them. What would you, and they can't get that same job right away. What do you say to those people?
It shouldn't be a shock to you because as soon as you create an express entry profile, I think you should start researching because you need to know what is obtainable in Canada that you're moving to. So you need to know your chances of getting the same level of job you have in Nigeria in Canada. So that's why I tell people don't start making your research when you get PPR. Start making it when you create your profile, when you haven't even gotten ITA, because when you know the path to get where you want to be, you start working it free from Nigeria. So if you're a medical doctor, you know that you're going to go through some parts, licensing, whatever it is, to get back into your profession.
Okay.
You should have that plan. You should know how long it's going to take you, at least a tentative plan. And then you should plan what you intend to do in Canada. So if you can practice as a medical laboratories or laboratories without maybe any certification or licensing, you should be open to start from there while you're working your pathway back to being a medical doctor so that you're not shocked. Nothing surprises you. You already know that this is what is going to happen when you come, because that's the Canadian rule. You cannot practice without a Canadian license. Same thing with engineers, lawyers. If you know this already before coming, nothing will be surprising. I mean, you will not come and say, oh, I've been an MD I have a private hospital in Nigeria. Why can't I practice here? You already know you can't, because that's the rule, that's the system.
So for people that were like, really on top in their home countries, when they come here, your advice would be for them to start wherever they can start and start working their way back up to where they used to.
Of course, you have bills to pay. You have to start wherever, because if you might decide to say, no, I'm not going to start maybe at middle level or junior level, and you stay 1 year and spend all your Nigerian POF or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that. Nobody said you should pick up minimum wage jobs. There are jobs way higher than minimum wage, but not as high as what you would like. You target those jobs, get into the middle, and start from there while you work your way up to the big jobs that you're looking for.
Yeah. Someone is asking if British Columbia is bilingual. The answer is no. It's predominantly English. But of course, if you're bilingual there, you still have a chance to make good money, because it's really rare to have bilingual people in the English territory in the province of British Columbia. And so the jobs in BC, would you say generally, do they pay well? People are able to make good money there?
Depends on your industry, your profession, your area, your sector. So like everybody knows, those in the medical doctors and all those, you make money first you're in healthcare. Okay. Then people in construction, in what I've noticed, because my husband is in construction now. So construction seems to pay well for people here as well. So if you're an architect, you're an engineer, and generally, so you need to fit into construction. Even based on their median average salary per hour, it seems to be quite promising. So I've got people asking me questions about, I study civil engineering. I say, yeah, if you want to come to BC, you should, because there's always construction everywhere. So that's why it seems to be very, very booming. So, and of course, retail, just like everywhere, that retail is big. There are lots of retail stores around here. So I've seen people to move into retail. Then, because of all these retail, manufacturing is a great sector here too. Because of all this manufacturing and retail, if you're a supply chain professional, you shouldn't have a problem, because every of this will have a supply chain. So there'll be need to end-to-end supply chain, from planning to distribution, logistics, warehousing. So especially warehousing. So you would definitely get something here. So if you're in manufacturing, retail, construction, healthcare, then you shouldn't be afraid to come to BC, because you will get well-paying jobs. Of course, after you must have overcome the Canadian experience thing.
Right. I have a few friends in the electrician and construction, like welding and the construction industry, and they make good money. But you know how some people have this stigma from back home about being a mechanic or being a carpenter or being an electrician or a plumber, and it's just like, oh, this is like manual jobs back home, but here they pay big money. So people want to drop that mindset before they immigrate, because you could be walking away from lots of money every year because you still have that money.
Exactly. Skill rates is big. I know a family friend of ours, their in-law went to school to study the skill trades to be an electrician.
Right.
So it's not like anything that is skill trade. We changed one sensor in our car for $600.
Oh.
That's the cost of not the cost of the mechanics of changing it. So you can see how crazy it is to have maybe an auto mechanic workshop or something. Those guys my husband is always telling me that if you see the people at construction sites, the cars they drive, when they come out of their what do you call it, their apparel or whatever, and change back and move, the money they have is more than your customer service person in the bank with a suit and a tie.
Right. You drive really nice trucks too. F-150,
exactly.
Silverado. Like it's pretty good. It's pretty good so
it's mindset thing. Being a skill trade in Nigeria and in Canada are not the same thing, and everybody should know there is dignity in every job. There's no job that is a menial job. I mean, they shouldn't hear you calling them their jobs menial. I mean,
And
it's downright
the
insulting.
strategies too. The strategies in this industry too. They need more people to even get in. So it's not even menial because lots of people are they're trying to
Of
get people
course.
in. Even truck drivers make a lot of money
Yes,
in Canada,
yes,
right?
yes.
So I made a post a while ago, and a bus driver last year made about 15 million naira, right? So you don't get any bus drivers in Nigeria making 15 million naira. So it's
That's
something to
true.
look at for sure. So back to the so settling in BC because you did an exploratory trip and then eventually you settled. But how easy is it really to settle in BC when we talk about schools for the kids and looking for jobs, of course, daycare. Let's talk about daycare. How easy is it to get daycare for your child?
Daycare here. If you're in Vancouver and its environs, as soon as you get pregnant, just go and get on the wait list. so that you are sure that 1 year later, when your baby is 1 year old and you want to go back to work, you have a spot.
Yeah.
So, but if you're further away from what do you call it, Vancouver, you can do it maybe from 6 months when your baby is like 6, 7 months old, because a lot of people still want to go back to work after having babies. So they have wait lists. If you want a daycare, a licensed daycare, you need to find one as soon as you get pregnant. But if you're willing to do day homes, people's houses, whether licensed or unlicensed, you might have one or two slots opening up here and there. So, but the daycares are really competitive that as soon as you get, when I came in and I was already pregnant, I said, if you intend to work, I suggest you start looking for daycare because you might not be able to get one when you are ready to go back to work, when your baby is one.
Yeah.
So that's how bad it can be in areas around Vancouver, Burnaby, New West. But in this my area, most people just do day homes, and it's probably cheaper. So you do day homes and you can get one or two slots opening for
Yeah.
day homes.
Yeah, I had a friend when I was working in Vancouver, and when she was pregnant, she was a bit worried about being able to return to work after the mat leave because she wasn't sure she couldn't find a daycare. There's even been some reports of some daycares asking you to make a deposit, like to be on the waiting list, right? And it ranges from anywhere from $20 to $200. So you pay, and some people then would pay a daycare, like multiple daycares. So they'll pay here, they go to another daycare, go make a deposit, go to another one, go make another deposit, because it's the waiting list problem, right? And at the end of the day, some people have difficulty returning back to work if they can't find help, someone to take care of the kids. So it's a bit challenging for sure. It could affect your career if you don't find a place to where they can take care of your kids when you want to go back to work. So it's something to think about. But for schools and putting your kids in schools, is that an issue or is it okay?
No, that's not an issue at all because my kids go to preschool. They started last September because they're not of school age yet. So they do preschool. So it wasn't difficult to get a preschool for them because you can always get into a preschool because it's just 3 days a week, by about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But the other one is starting kindergarten this September. And we chose to go to private school, a Catholic school.
Right.
So it's more like, okay, Catholic schools are competitive. And when we went for the interview, you apply and go for an interview. We went for an interview. They told us they had just 14 slots left because they already have 16 slots that are going to people that have siblings in that school. So they give them priority.
Right.
So it's not like after interviewing all the people and then they make their selection. So I guess she got in. So that's how some private schools can be, especially Catholic schools. So they give preference to Catholics and practicing Catholics before you get in. So, but for public schools, your child will definitely get a spot because every child has to go to school here. And the school is according to where you live, your address, your catchment area depends on your house address. So you'll definitely have a slot in the public school that is within the catchment area where you live. So that's not an issue at all. So the only challenge is the daycare, right, if you intend to go back to work.
Awesome. There was a question here for let's take one at least. What's the difference between Calgary and Vancouver economically? Well, for me, I went to university in Calgary, so Calgary is mostly oil and gas based. Right now, the oil and gas industry, has been suffering
Yeah.
for a few years now. Vancouver is lots of service based. We have the insurance company of British Columbia. We have IT. It's mostly service based. In terms of the amounts, Calgary is a little more affordable than Vancouver, obviously. The winters in Calgary could be punishing, but that's not the economics, so we're going to leave that. We're going to leave that. Somebody's asking, I guess you can take this question. Is it free, public schools?
Public schools are free. You don't pay anything. The other person said you pay for Catholic schools. Yes, you do. You pay for registration. You pay for tuition. You pay tuition every month.
Yeah.
So we're going to, as practicing, because we're Catholics.
Yeah.
So as practicing Catholics, you have a different rate than non-Catholics. So that's the way it's structured. So as practicing Catholics, we're looking at something a little below $350 every month for her. For non-practicing Catholics, you're looking at a little below $500 every month.
In your opinion, again, this is just an opinion, is there any advantage of choosing a Catholic school versus a public school?
Okay, the way it is here, most people want their kids to be raised according to their faith so that they don't derail. There are some things that are quite acceptable and normal in Canada, but some people don't believe in it. Yeah. So you want to sort of protect your kids from those things. So that's why people go for Catholic schools, because they won't outrightly come out to encourage some such things, but they won't condemn it, but they won't promote it. But in public schools, it will be promoted. It's like it's a normal life. So it's whatever you want to be, whatever you want to do. I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so
I went to high school here for a bit. So.
Yeah, so most people they're very sensitive. They want to make sure that if I don't want my kids to move, you know what I'm talking about. So it's better I just leave them where they'll be raised up in good morals. So it's more like if you're looking for that moral, you go to the Catholic school. They are sure that at least there'll be a check. There are checks and balances to ensure that they are raised in according to Christian way of living. Right. So that's why. That's just the only difference. But the quality of education is the same. I mean, of course, there's a standard here. The curriculum is the same. You have to teach, whether you're public school or private, it's the same thing. But these are just the differences. What I feel some people, why they send their kids to Catholic schools. Yeah.
Somebody made a comment here saying Calgary Catholic and public schools are free. So that's good to know for some people that were wondering about that. All right. So we talked about cost of living, and we talked about jobs, and of course the cost of living in the Vancouver area is a little more expensive, and some people choose to live in the surrounding cities like New Westminster or Burnaby or Abbotsford or Coquitlam or Hope or Merritt, wherever it is. Do we need a car to take these jobs in Lower Mainland, or is there a good metro system that can get us to town pretty quickly or conveniently? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a yes. That's a yes and a no, depending on where you live. Again, depending on where you live in the Lower Mainland. So we have a SkyTrain. So for people, it's a train that goes on the sky. Literally, it's a SkyTrain. So it's true. So, but it's very fast. So
they have the underground. They have the underground train, and they have the ones above ground. So this is really above ground.
So the SkyTrain is on the sky, really. So, but the thing good thing about the SkyTrain is it's pretty fast. So like even if you miss this one, every 1 minute a SkyTrain arrives at the station. So you don't have to wait for so long before you catch another one, even if you miss one. But the thing is, it doesn't cut across all the cities in the Lower Mainland. Yeah. So if you don't want to have a car and you want to live in the Lower Mainland, you should live in Vancouver, Burnaby, New Westminster, Coquitlam, and Surrey, because these are where the major SkyTrain stations, this is where they pass through. Yeah. If you don't live in any of those cities, you need a car. because there's no way you're going to get to work on time if you're going to Vancouver. You want to take the bus. The bus here is not as good as the UK. In the UK, you can always get a bus every 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and you don't need. In fact, in the UK, you don't need a car. I mean, if I were to live in the UK, I won't buy a car. There's no point because the transit is pretty cool. But here, the buses come every 1 hour. So this is not what you want. You don't want to wait every 1 hour to join a bus. And most times you don't get a direct bus. You drop it somewhere, you pick another one, drop. So if you're driving, like if I'm driving from where I live to Vancouver, is about 45 to 50 minutes drive.
So you're in like
Coquitlam
Langley area then?
Yeah, I live in Langley. Okay. So if you're going to take a bus, because there's no SkyTrain here, if you want to take a bus, it might go up to 3 hours before you get to Vancouver. You cannot do that.
Right.
So it depends. So when people ask me, you want an affordable city, you want to move around easily, I say probably you should go to Surrey, because at least you have access to the SkyTrain straight to Vancouver. So you can go to work from there easily and back.
How long is the SkyTrain from Surrey to Vancouver, downtown?
You can probably do 15-20 minutes. It's pretty fast.
Okay, awesome. So someone else made another comment. The winter in Calgary is overrated. It's not that bad. So tell me, Chima, how cold are the winters in the Vancouver area?
Let me answer how. Unless she lives in Calgary, I think it's not underrated. I think it's not overrated. It's that bad though.
It is.
My brother. It is that bad.
The thing about Calgary, the winter is pretty serious. But we also have something called Chinooks. So Chinook is like a warm air that comes in the middle of winter sometimes. And from like -20, it could go to like -3. It just warms up all of a sudden, right? And that is why the weather in Calgary, there's like this pauses in how cold it is over the winter. But that could also affect people's, some people have a headache because of the change. It's a sudden change in pressure or whatever it is, and then it affects people, and some people get a headache because of that, right? But the winter in Vancouver and in where you live,
let me describe the winter in Calgary. We are technically just approaching spring, and it's already getting warmer, like I said, when the positive double digits.
Right.
So the lowest temperature, I know there was when I made the post that there was a forecast, we had a low temperature as low as -12, and of course it's in the night, it's not during the day. So like when you're sleeping, the temperatures are low at night.
Right.
And everybody is like, I should just keep quiet. Why am I screaming that there's -12 in the night? Because during the day, the lowest I've seen is like a -2,
right.
-3.
Yeah.
So it's not as terrible as it is in the rest of Canada. And of course, it only snowed twice, as far as I'm concerned, where I live.
Yeah.
A couple of days before Christmas and a couple of weeks ago in February.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the two major times it snowed in Langley.
And
when
it snows, the city shuts down too.
No, it doesn't even shut down. We don't have. I've not since I came. I've not experienced any snow day. I mean, it's not the snow that shuts down everywhere. No, people still. My husband still went to work and came back like.
Yeah.
After 2 or 3 days, everything melted because immediately after snowing, it rains. You know what we have here is rain, so that's why it's called Vancouver.
Yeah.
So once it rains, it melts everything away, and that's it. So on the other hand, if you don't like rain, you should not come here because that's what we have in place of snow. During winter, it rains a whole lot. It can be annoying. So if you don't mind the rain, then you should come to BC. But if you don't like rain, you shouldn't come here. You can go to where the snow is there. So I had the preference.
And honestly, like in Vancouver, if there's a snow day, the city just shuts down. That's one thing. But Vancouver is not the only city in British Columbia, right? Like there's the interior of British Columbia that you might have a completely different experience, like the Okanagan, like Vernon, Kelowna, Penticton. They're gonna have like stable winters, right? And but it's not still going to be bad.
The northern part of BC is cold.
Yeah,
so if you're going to Prince George, it snows and it's cold.
Yeah.
So it really depends on where you are.
So we've been talking mostly about the Lower Mainland area, which is close to the Pacific Ocean, right? So it's a lot warmer in the winter. But the interior of BC, Prince George, Kamloops, Kelowna, Penticton, Vernon, you're still going to get a regular winter there. So just to clear things up a little bit in case people are a bit confused. So Now, of course, when we immigrate to a new place, we want to know if we have people like us in those places. So, in where you live, British Columbia, is there a big African community in BC, in your opinion?
Yes, I was quite surprised to know that there are lots of, let me even say Nigerians, not even just the African,
Okay.
the Nigerians and the Africans in BC, because BC is not a popular destination for most Africans or Nigerians because of the perception that it's expensive. So most people don't like to come here. But I was quite surprised when I came and discovered that there are lots of Nigerians in BC. Or quite a whole lot. And they, in fact, they even have, according to ethnic groups, they've got associations and but the thing is, they are not loud, so you don't get to know. It's not like they are more of the quiet and reserved people. They are not the loud on social. It's difficult to find them if you're outside BC, even inside BC. I know people that have lived here for 6 years or more, and they don't even know that there's like a Nigerian association. So the Nigerians here are more reserved. They just stick to themselves or maybe stick to one or two other Nigerian. But when it comes to association, I don't really see them being active, but those associations exist. For instance, like there's a Nigerian Canadian Association of BC, but I can bet that in the last 2 years, people that immigrated in the last 2 years, over 50% are not members.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Okay.
So I just discovered that there was me stuff I didn't even know.
Right.
Because it's not they're not even on social media. I mean on Instagram or anything, and I had no idea until it was time for the arranging passport intervention next week.
Right.
So if you want to renew your passport of Nigerian passport this time around or get a fresh one, they are bringing them from Ottawa to this place. So that's how I got to know about the association, and I had to go look for their website and all that. So they exist. There are WhatsApp groups,
Okay.
there are associations, there are a whole lot of, in fact, there is. So that's not a problem at all. People shouldn't be afraid that they won't see Black community. There is.
And
Black
was it easy
community.
for you then to make friends when you arrived?
Make friends? You mean Black friends?
Sure. Black, Caucasian, doesn't matter.
Generally.
Friends in
Okay,
general.
so I have more of Canadian friends than Black friends because the city where I live, they're mostly white, and I made a whole lot of them from church. So it was easy for me because they were drawn to the Black person they saw at church, and then before you know it, they introduced it to their friends, and all. So the chain continued like that. I didn't really have any issue getting to know new people. That was before COVID. So immediately COVID came, church is now online, everything has shut down. I've not made any new friend. So it's just the old ones that I knew before COVID that are still my friends.
Yeah.
So it depends on you. If you're an extrovert, it might not be difficult for you because the people are actually warm. So they may not know side talks and all these mini talks are quite big here. So if you can start up one, people respond to you. I get a whole lot of grocery stores. I could be doing something and somebody says something and strike up a conversation. So I don't think it's difficult to make friends if you are an extrovert. Unless you're an introvert and you're stuck in your homes, then it might be difficult for you to make a friend.
And what I find interesting too, because when I first immigrated in 2008, I lived with a Canadian family in the Okanagan, right? So this is Vernon, British Columbia. It's about maybe 4 or 5 hours after Vancouver, and we're the only Black people in the town, I think, right? Me and my friends, right? But it was so easy to just integrate. Like it wasn't a big deal, you know. You just people are really warm, regardless of where you go. They just want to say hi. How are you? Why? What's your country? What's your country like? What's going on? Talk to us. Like it's very. People are really nice, is what I find. British Columbia is really one of my favorite places to visit every time. So if you come to Canada, even if you live in Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, wherever you live, take time out to visit Vancouver at least once. You would love it. And for those people wondering,
if they come, they will not go because it's really beautiful. Yeah. That's why it's called beautiful British Columbia. The place is beautiful.
Yeah, and for those people, this saying, oh, they don't have as much of a Black community, African community in the Lower Mainland. whenever there's like a concert, like say Wizkid, Jidena, Burna Boy, and you go to Vancouver Granville Street, all you're gonna see is Africans. You'll be like, where are these people from? Where they all come from? But
Exactly.
it's they everywhere. You just they're a little quieter, and when you see one, you probably wave. They wave at you too, but it's definitely interesting. So
Tell you, sorry, Chibi, to tell you how much they are receptive of blacks.
yeah,
Do you know that I have a family we met in church that adopted black kids from the US? They're Canadians, their kids are black. So initially when I saw them in church and you're like, Mom, Dad, I'm like, how can so one of our friends now introduced and I got to talk. So they went to the US. They were interested in adopting black kids. So their three sons are black.
right.
And they're Canadians.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
they don't really
Yeah.
they are not really so bothered about your skin color.
Right. Right. The so in Europe, what is BC to you? What is it known for in general? Because you live there, so
Outdoor adventure, hiking, mountain, skiing. It's one of the best skiing resorts. If you go to Whistler, so it's like people come from all the other provinces to come to Whistler to chill.
Yeah.
So it's not like nature. So like it's our nature. It's not like a slogan because BC is known for the nature, like you mentioned. And then of course you mentioned back in the interior regions. Wines. These people love wine.
Yeah.
So anything outdoor, nature, farming, wines.
Yeah.
That's what BC is known for. So if you have, say, Canada Adventure, you're talking about British Columbia. So that's the whole lot here. Yeah.
British
all year round.
British Columbia, the Okanagan region is I think is one of the biggest wine producing regions in Canada. Pretty good.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Yes.
I was going to ask about nightlife, but you haven't really quite had time to explore because you've been there's been a pandemic and you've been busy with the kids and stuff. But do you know anything about the nightlife in?
The truth is about nightlife. Canada generally, the nightlife I don't think is.
Well, you're coming from the UK. I mean, you're coming from the UK.
Yeah.
You're
coming from the UK. It's not like
the UK to Canada. We're trying to compare Canadian cities to other Canadian cities. Let's focus. Okay.
Okay. So for around here, they have clubs. But the major thing in Langley is the casino. They have a big casino here, so that's
please,
what
no
they're.
No one should go gambling, please. No, don't go there. Stay away.
So that's what they call nightlife. So the casino is pretty big. So
okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Awesome. So some people might find it a bit challenging too, because I'm trying to decide, should I move to Toronto? Should I move to Vancouver? Should I move to Calgary? And we've talked about settlements in Vancouver so far, about the schools, the daycare, looking for a place to live, maybe jobs even. Are there any settlement services in Vancouver? I looked at your page and it's Settlements BC. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do in Vancouver?
Okay, my page. Okay. Talking about, before I talk about my page, there are immigrants settlements agencies in BC, just like every other. It's more like if you Google it, you have a whole list and you can narrow it down to where you live. When we first came in, we went to ISS of BC, that's Immigrant Service Society of BC. So what they do is to help immigrants settle in. If you have questions, they direct you to Work BC if you're looking for a job, career paths to help you to get back into your career. And then they help you with a whole lot. Once you just have a question, they're able to point you to another body that can help you if they cannot attend to your question. English, those that want to go for English classes, there's a whole lot. That's what the government has made available for new immigrants. So it's just that people don't know to go to those places to get assistance. And of course, there are limits to what they can do for you. So that was why I started my page, because there's some, I know I filled a form when there was errors in it from them, and it cost me a lot back and forth with the CRA when I first moved in. So some of those things are challenging for new immigrants. So, and they're not going to follow you to go get a place to rent. They're not going to take you around for shopping. They won't pick you up from the airport. They won't help you to look for the daycare. And, they cannot tell you this is where you find resources for this. So that's the difference between them and my page. So my page is more of a personalized service because everybody's needs are different. So what do you want to do? So there's someone to hold your hand to actually tell you what and where and how to do it, and not just to point you to a body that can tell you generically, oh, go to this website and do this. And if you don't understand anything there, you're lost. Or, oh yeah, if you want to rent a house, go to Kijiji, go to Craigslist. But going there actually to having to find what you're looking for and going for the visits and the inspections and all that. So that's why it's different. Information, like you always say, is key. You know, when we mentioned you're coming here, you're transitioning, what are you going to expect when you land here? You don't
Yeah.
have an idea. I wish I had an idea of some of the things I would have experienced before coming here. So that's why it's important to have information before you arrive, because that's going to save you time,
Yeah.
and effort, and money. Because also when I landed, we spent a lot of money on taxis. You know, I have kids. I can't take the bus. And we landed in winter. So you have to do taxis. Imagine not going to view all the houses, going to open bank account,
It'd be
and
really
it was
tiring.
pretty
Tiring.
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because
tiring with the kids. And so if I had someone that volunteered to do all those things for me and I had to pay a token, I mean, it's much better.
and
We just fix appointments and you come and pick me up then.
right.
Sometimes you book 1 hour later, your taxi hasn't arrived, you'll tell it's rush hour, and
Yeah.
it was frustrating. So that's why I looked at it and say, okay, so a personalized service might actually save somebody time, save you the efforts, and save you
And
the
save you money
money.
too.
So
Save you money. Yeah. Because
yeah, so
mistakes will cost you, right? Mistakes are
yeah,
expensive. They
yeah,
cost you
yeah.
too, right?
It
Yeah.
could, you really, yeah, it did. So that's
And I
why
tell
that
people
was the
information.
motive behind.
Yeah, I tell people information is currency. So when you know better, you do better, right? And if there's a settlement
Exactly.
services, an expert in British Columbia, when you want to move there, she's definitely the person you want to contact. I also read on your site that you even provide a meal when you arrive. What kind of food is this?
Yeah,
Is this
that
jollof?
meal is
Is
important. That meal is important because after a very long flight, and then when we came in, someone brought fried rice for us. I mean, it was fried rice and chicken. That was,
right,
you see the way we rushed it. After a
right.
16-hour flight, we
I
were
know.
exhausted from eating. The in-flight entertainment, how it can be.
Yeah, the
You
food is
may not be
tiring.
able
Yeah,
to
yeah,
eat it.
yeah.
So that meal, Nigerians look forward to that welcome. Almost all Nigerians get it from somebody here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very, very
Yeah,
important.
the flight from London or the flight from Frankfurt to Vancouver, it's a very long flight. So
Yeah.
having that warm Nigerian meal when you arrive is definitely something. I didn't have that when I arrived in Canada the first time, but
Aww.
I know I had ice cream when I arrived though, so it was really nice.
No, no, no.
So in your settlement services pack, I also read that. What is there any items you think people should not bring to Canada when they come in? Any random
Yeah.
item comes to your mind?
You mean in terms of what is prohibited from what you should bring?
Yeah, one
Yeah.
item.
So please don't bring pomo or milk. You
Ah,
just stay away from milk. You don't want
yeah,
to have issues because of milk. I mean, if you
yeah,
happen to be they don't really. When I came, nobody searched my
yeah,
luggage really. When I
yeah,
got to Vancouver, they didn't search. They just stamped and I left the airport.
yeah.
But what if they decide to search? They were okay. They were dogs, anyways. The dogs were sniffing around. So what if they do? It's not worth it. I mean, you can get milk at the African stores there if you want powdered milk. So
Yeah.
don't risk
You know, you
it. Don't
know,
risk it.
you know.
Yeah.
My mom visited me one time. She brought this dried beef, smoked dried beef. She brought pig milk, of course, corned beef, and they just threw it. She was so sad. They threw everything out. They're just like, no, you just gotta throw this out. And they did. So it was such a waste, right? But it is what it is. There's some things you can bring. And I know you're also a good writer, and you've come up with an ebook for people. Arrive Canada Prepared. So what is the one thing you can share with immigrants to help them better prepare before immigrating to Canada? We just take this really quickly before we round up.
So like the major thing will always be you need money to survive. If you want to arrive Canada prepared, you need to take your career plans seriously from Nigeria. So you need to make sure that your CV is a Canadian style CV. You have a good cover letter. You have an idea of what the job postings and the terminologies are. Because what we call, maybe what the terms we use in Nigeria might not be the terms they use in Canada, but they mean the same thing. So you need to be able to tailor your resume to their standard and their terms. So I always advise job search can be it can be very intensive and it can be discouraging. You can send 100 applications and you have only 2 that will invite you for the next interview. So you need to be prepared. You shouldn't send random applications. You can't use one CV to apply for 20 different jobs. No. Every single application is unique. You must tailor your CV. That's why it takes time. So it's good to get lots of practice before you arrive. Just test the waters and see what it's going to be like. By the time you customize your CV into a Canadian format, go to Indeed.ca, search for your job title of interest, read through the job description and the job duties and responsibilities. Tailor your CV to that one and submit it. You can change your get a virtual Canadian number. You can get it from LinkedIn. There are lots of apps you can do that. Pick a city. If it's Vancouver, British Columbia, just try it.
Right.
Do those applications from Nigeria and see if you will get a response, because that will be an indicator of what it will be like to land. Don't wait to land, because that's going to be a big mistake. If you get a response, it means your CV and your application process is on point. So you know that it's not going to be that difficult when you land. Who knows, that response might even lead to, oh, you're coming to Canada. Okay, the role is available next year when you will land, and you might get it. But if you don't do this experiment, then you come to Canada and start applying, you're going to get frustrated. Like we did a phone interview from Nigeria before we landed. We had a phone interview before we came here and then went in. So you need to do that experiment and test your CV to see if it will convert for you. To see, so if you don't know what it is to get a Canadian CV, you have to Google it or you find a writer and get one done and start applying. Then referral is what is called IM in Nigeria. Here it's referral, I'm sure you know. So it's easier for them to shortlist you if there is an internal person that referred you, maybe an employee that so how do you get somebody in that company to refer you? You need to network, and that's where LinkedIn comes in. So if you don't have a LinkedIn account, please go and create one right now. Get active. Go and research people in your industry, in your province of interest, and start connecting with them. Start engaging with them, because tomorrow an opening might come out. So you won't just be a stranger in their inbox asking them to refer you. They already know you. They can relate to your name on that platform. And when you come with such a request, they'll say, okay, yeah, we've been interacting on LinkedIn. I can refer this person. That's referral good. Is another big thing.
Awesome. So what is the best way for these people to contact you?
Okay, yeah. So they have an email address on my page, vcbodyservices@gmail.com. They can also send me a DM. I respond to DMs too. So if you have any questions or inquiries,
follow her on Instagram. Follow her on Instagram. Send her a message, and you guys can take the conversation from there. So now, Chima, tell me, you've been in Canada now, or BC now, a little over a year. What plans do you have for the future? Any future projects you have coming up for yourself?
Future projects for myself, some are secret, so that when I launch it to be. Yes, but anyway, so on career wise, when my kids grow up a bit more, like at least I'm giving my baby now in the next 2 years, or at least when he's 3, I'd like to go get a PhD. I have a master's in mechanical engineering, so I'm an engineer. So I like to get a PhD in engineering, because ultimately I want to be a lecturer. So I want to lecture in a Canadian university. So I need a PhD, go lecture, and ultimately just watch out. I'm going to be a university vice chancellor here. Hey, one day, yes. So we'll get there. So that's like the immediate 5-10 year plan, so that's what I have for myself.
Thanks for sharing with us. We hope to see you there, accomplishing your goals as well. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for taking the time as well to come talk to our audience today about what life in beautiful British Columbia is like. I call it Mother Nature's playground, because I haven't quite seen. I've been across this country, coast to coast, but I haven't quite seen any place like British Columbia yet. So it's
Do
awesome.
you miss BC?
Good.
Do
It's
you
good.
miss BC?
I visit. I try and visit every year because my Canadian parents still live in the Okanagan, in Vernon.
Okay.
So I always try and visit when I can. But right now it's a pandemic, so trying to stay put. But I'll be in BC later this year, probably this summer as well. So it'll be good. Awesome.
Ah, sure.
Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time to come talk to us, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. It was a nice session. Keep it up, and
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah. You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Canada Immigration Cafe episode 8. We talked about beautiful British Columbia. Today is one of my favorite provinces in Canada. It's where I first lived when I immigrated to Canada in 2008. It's been almost 13 years now, so I've been here for a minute. When you immigrate to Canada, try, even if you don't immigrate to British Columbia, just visit BC at least once. You will feel like you had a really great vacation. So I wish you so much success. Always know that Canada awaits you wherever you are, and looking forward to seeing you guys again on the next episode of the Canada Immigration Cafe. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye and good night.